Morning. This week I've been thinking a lot about AI, and more specifically AI fairness. How can we ensure that the AIs that we're beginning to deploy are acting fairly for everybody? Now, AI is just mind-blowingly amazing. I think all of us have played with ChatGPT by now and really been astonished by the results that we get from it and just how much it knows. But all of this really plays into a human tendency for what's known as automation bias, that we trust the outputs of technical systems like AI because they seem very clever. Maybe we believe that they're objective. Maybe we're just short on time and it's just convenient to trust what it says. But are they really trustworthy? And actually an awful lot of evidence says no, they're not. AIs will amplify existing human biases that are there and actually scale them out more widely even than they have been when it's just humans who are making these decisions. So what do we need to think about to use AI responsibly and make sure we're using it fairly when we're deploying it in our organisations? Well, we need to recognise that as a social and technical system, or a socio-technical system, we need to think about both the technical and the social controls around it. Now, in my previous work as Director of People, Data and Insights at Aviva, I talked to lots of AI vendors who are selling all kinds of amazing tech to help solve issues and challenges around improving people's experience at work. Really, really fantastic aims I'm sure we all buy into and support. But what I often found is when I'd ask them about how do we ensure that the system's operating fairly and without bias, the answers would usually be something along the lines of, well, we've got really clever developers, so they didn't put any bias in. But this is a very misleading answer because the solution doesn't stop at having clever developers. This is about how we're using our system in practice and that interaction between people and system. So really in our organisations, we also need to have responsibility to build some technical layers around the system to ensure that we're testing it, we're evaluating it, we're monitoring it to make sure it keeps working as intended, and that we're understanding the risks and we've got steps in place to manage and mitigate those risks. And we also need to be building in the governance around it, the accountability and the oversight to be monitoring and taking responsibility for how this is operating and the outcomes of that operation. So we also need to be thinking about how to understand these risks broadly, and that's where diverse inputs are really important. And I'd really advocate that you bring together your AI governance with your diversity, equity and inclusion efforts, so you are bringing in those diverse perspectives as you're looking at how to deploy and build in these systems. So remember, AI is an exceptionally powerful tool, and used well and responsibly, it can really create a great experience for people at work. So make sure you're considering it as it is, a socio-technical system with thought about both the technical and those social organisation controls that you need to build around it to ensure that safe operation.